G'day everyone, I am back. I'm not dead yet. I'm still around. Haven't had a video up for a while. Well, it feels like a while. I've been painting what you can see in front of you. I've been painting a bunch of figures for Silver Bayonet Egypt. Let me think. And before that, I stuck, it was a painful process. I stuck together a whole box of British infantry. Oh man, when you're not used to sticking together plastic figures, that took me a long time. That was days and days and days of sticking. But anyway, and then I went and painted these. Great fun. For most of my inspiration, I took a look at the North Star website and the North Star magazine, Kevin Dellamore's magazine. I think one of their other painters actually did a lot of the painting for these figures. But I've done, I've taken direct inspiration from some of their schemes. Some of it they've all been tweaked slightly to my own, depending on my own color palette and what I had available to me, and other changes I thought I'd make. So there was a couple of the figures that I couldn't actually find on the website anywhere. I think that there may have been a limited edition that you might have got when you ordered in advance, perhaps. And there are a couple of figures that actually, particularly towards the back, that aren't actually North Star figures, but they kind of fit in with the theme that my friend up in Queensland has sent me. Okay, so in the front here, we've got the Europeans. Now, this one here, this chappy here, British chap, in sort of a combination of civilian clothes, and there will be stills as normal afterwards, so you can have a bit of a closer gander. Now, he has been offered as a limited edition figure in a number of their sets. So strictly, he's probably, unless he's roaming around in a dust storm or in the night time, maybe in the night of Egypt, where it would get pretty cold at night. The big overcoat's probably a bit incongruous. But there you go. So that's him. And then you've got another British officer here with his sort of top hat, unless it's meant to be a Marine. I'm not sure. It's a bit hard to tell sometimes with the figures precisely what they're meant to be, but he does have the neck protection that you would perhaps expect someone exposed to hot, burning sun to wear. So very neat figures. As I say, this chappy and this chappy, I couldn't find picture references for them on the site. They may be there somewhere and I missed them. But yes, very cool figures. Lovely one-piece castings. Great fun to paint. Easy to pick out the different areas on them. And you could use all sorts of different Napoleonic figures for Silver Bayonet. You can use the North Star stuff, obviously, but there's all sorts of ranges of Napoleonic figures out there that could be either used straight out of the box or out of the baggie or whatever. Or you could make small adaptations to them. It'd be easy enough to using a piece of plastic card or balsa wood or whatever to make some wooden spikes or little extra crosses that they've got to pouches or bottles or burning brands or whatever, things like that you could add as little adaptations to give them the flavour of the game. But yes, a lot of them are wearing the silver crosses. Silver, typically in these sort of horror games, to silver bullets and silver weapons and silver to ward off the evil. So it's a bit of a lantern there for night work. So perhaps he is dressed up for the night. Nice touch there. Probably some sort of French grenadier or maybe guardsman. So that's those three in front. And let me peel them back so you can see the next layer. Now, those were the three European types. We'll put them to one side. And then you've got some other human figures of the Mameluke Egyptian flavour. Mind you, this chappy here on the end looks more like a tribesman from further across the African sands. I can't remember the name of them, with their blue and black. Not a Berber, something else. So yeah, so you've got sort of various Mameluke looking characters and some sort of strange, these guys, they seem to be wearing the golden ankh, sort of Egyptian things. Yeah, so that's interesting. I drilled out where I could. I drilled out the firearms, like the blunderbuss, and even with some tiny drill bits, I tried to drill out the end of some of the muskets and things, just because I thought it looked a bit cooler. So yeah, so there's some nice colourful figures here, stripy sash and decoration on his bands around his wrists, and yeah, nice colourful figures. Nice and simple to paint. Nice one-piece castings. Can't ask for more than that. Great fun. Great fun. So different blues and blacks and some greens and yeah, some nice colour there actually. Great fun to paint. So that's them. As I said, more pictures at the end. Let's pop them. Might pop them down here on my desk. Excuse my hand. Okay, so let's bring up some of the more monstrous faction. This is a giant snake that you can get from North Star. Comes from them. So this is oh, wobbling the camera. This is actually a big metal casting in trying to think how many pieces. So there's the main sort of flat body of the serpent, and then there's a join here where this headpiece goes on, and then there's a separate piece for the front of the head and another separate piece that clicks in for the lower jaw. So what, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, I think. But it went together all right. It's well designed, you know, and with a bit of super glue and whatnot, it goes together all right. So he's got an interesting. I had a look at their site, and they had a fairly dark sort of serpent. So I've gone for that as well. But what I've done is I've used layered up some different colours on to get the snake skin thing. He's a bit more like some of the black snakes that you see here in Australia and Tasmania. And he's got that sheen to him. If I lift you up, you can see. Yeah. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Slight sheen and all around his head. So what I've done is I used I started with a base color of I think it's called Extra Dark Green from AK Interactive, which is actually a very drab, it was very close to black, but it was a very drab color. And then I laid over a very thin coat of, if I can retrieve it, yeah, I used an artist color, this one, green black, and that had a lot more actual green in it. It was a bit brighter, but I just did that as a glaze over the top. It really brought it out even more. And then there was just general sort of washes applied to this front belly bit like that to get some sort of shading on there. And then I used a green metallic, emerald alchemy or something like that. It's from a scale 75 metallic range. So I dry brushed that very carefully over selected parts. You can see it in where his head fans out and on his head and on the backs of the scales. So I didn't slather it with it, just a careful selected dry brush, sometimes lighter here, sometimes heavier there. And I'm quite pleased with the effect, because even after using the matte varnish, it's still there. It's still pings out, like that sort of shimmering effect on the scales. So yeah, I was pretty pleased how that turned out, actually. That shimmery sort of effect, without being full on like metallic snake. It has that kind of look that snakes have. If you've seen some up close. Most of my encounters have been with the poisonous kind that we get here in Australia, so it's not a positive experience for me anyway. This is a little one. This is I'm not sure whether that might be a Reaper Bones one or something of that nature. This was a one piece kind of plastic, resi plastic sort of stuff on its own rock base. So this one's had the same sort of techniques applied, but it is it's more like a rattler in a way, without the rattle on its tail, and not an obvious rattler. But this one I've gone more for, I think I started with a, it might have been smoke black or something, and then it had maybe a glaze of red black or something like that. And then what I've done, the shimmery scales on this fella are done with a kind of a purpley, what's it called? I've got it here beside me. Oh, amethyst alchemy. So it's sort of a kind of a purpley greyish metallic. So that's what I've done for that fella. So he's got chunkier, more pronounced scales, so they do stick out more on the sculpt sort of thing. But yeah, so that was fun. So, and then you've got these sort of dog-faced men, or creatures. So you've got these sort of jackal kind of Anubis-headed dudes here, minions. They're quite funny. Now, I'm pretty sure these are from North Star, these two, but these aren't. These two fellas, they might be these sort of Dogmen things or whatever they are. They might be from Crocodile Games. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember, but they had a slaughter base. So, yeah, they're just sort of browns and blacks, and we've got these warty spots on them or something. They're strange looking fellas with their big teeth. Sort of werewolfy men. Egyptian's version of the werewolf. So, yeah, got some nice bright colours on these jackal men. These Anubis guards or whatever they're meant to be. So there they are. So that was them. Funny little character figures. Little monster dudes. And then we had, the mummy. The sarcophagus. So, now, you could either lean this up against a wall, I guess, or you could lay it flat. Depending on how you wanted to use it in the game, I guess. So the patterning, I looked up reference of the Tutankhamun, sarcophagus, even though it's not a direct copy. It's very, very similar kind of design, but it's not a direct copy, the sculpt. And just sort of did the colours off that with the blues, the sort of lapis lazuli and the aqua, and then the reddy brown colours, and I think there's some really dark blue in there as well. So with the mixing in with the gold and stuff, and tried to do the eyes and the eyebrows. So yeah, not too bad. So this is just the lid section with a simple paint job underneath. So you can lay flat, and then you've got the mummy itself in there, just in a very simple. So that would lay flatter against the wall, and then you could either have this sort of partially pushed off or actually sitting on top, or depending on how you want to do. Oh, there we are. Want to do your adventure, I guess. Doesn't look so good from that angle, but yeah, it pretty nifty. So that took a bit of fiddling. That was one of the last things I did, actually, because I knew I was going to have to figure out where these colours might go, and then dab in all these tiny little different colours, and they may or may not show up on the camera, but there's a lot of little tiny dabs of various distinct colours. So there you go. That's what I've been doing of late, working my way through all these guys. Quite quite different challenges. You know, lots of people figures, like human figures, and some Napoleonic adjacent stuff, and the creatures as well, with crazy big snakes and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, a bit of variety for you in that batch. I hope you've enjoyed seeing it. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments box below. If it is a question about paints, do make sure you get in quick, because if you get in a couple of months or even a couple of weeks, sometimes I'll probably have forgotten what I used. Because, yeah, there's no notes made on my end. But, yeah, as I said, I tried to explain how I got that effect on that snake. But I think it's going to depend on how the snake, if you have a model of a serpent or a serpentine creature, dragony creature, it depends on how it's sculpted as to how that kind of technique works out, you know, how chunky the scales might be, or smooth, or whatever. But yeah, lots of colour, blings of gold, a really good fun little project to work on, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing it. I'm not sure what's coming up next. I've got heaps of Napoleonics boxes of the things, and a heap assembled, and yeah, I can be getting on with that. Yeah, there's no shortage of figures laying around here in different places that I could be painting. So yeah, but hopefully soon there might be another project winging its way to me, and maybe another fun one like this. Yeah, it's sure. Oh, that's another thing I was going to say. If you haven't, there's some great little battle reports for Silver Bayonet. It looks like a fun game. Low figure count, a lot of silliness. There's a guy, Peachy, who is X Game Workshop, has a channel. I think it's called Peachy Tips or something like that. I was watching one of his Silver Bayonet battle reports the other day, where he had a Sharp themed, like Richard Sharp themed little war band in it, and it was absolutely hilarious and very entertaining. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. I hope you enjoy the pictures. Stay safe, and see you later.